Natural mutations. Sounds familiar, right? People with super muscle genes, eyeless cave fish, frogs with 3 or 5 legs. These are all products of nature that we humans call mutations. But if you could lie down on the crust of the newborn Earth, when no eye had yet evolved to witness what was happening, you might hear something deeper. Beneath the bubbling oceans and exploding volcanoes, something soft, something accidental was occurring. A wobble in a molecule, a mispairing in a chord. Something that wasn't supposed to happen, yet did. You might not call it life, not yet. But it was motion, repetition, mutation, and from there, chaos had its chance. You're in the Hadean eon now. No plants, no sky you'd recognize, just lightning and sulfur and a world half-cooked. Inside the boiling pools, amino acids clump together like gossip. The RNA strands that form do not follow instructions. They mess up. They copy with glitches. And the ones that survive best are the ones with the most useful errors. The first natural mutations weren't noble. They weren't designed. They just happened. And among the trillions of strands, one forms a loop that protects its edges. It survives longer, replicates faster, and slowly, amid thunder and ash. The great story of evolution gains a rhythm. No gods yet, no eyes, just mutation and selection, dancing in the mist. You wake now in the Cambrian explosion, the moment Earth gets weird on purpose. In the ocean, creatures sprout eyes. Not one type, but 20. One little gene mutates, and instead of light sensors, you get depth perception. Another twist, and legs become fins. Fins become wings. One gene, HOX, controls whole body layouts, mutated. And you don't get one extra finger. You get wings where legs should be. That sounds like failure, unless you're a dragonfly. Behind every body shape, every strange design, there's a story of mutation. Trilobites grow serrated edges. Anomalocaris develops crushing arms. Some fish grow armor, not because they chose to, but because their genes stumbled forward and the environment said yes. Nature doesn't plan. It throws spaghetti at the wall. And when one noodle sticks, that becomes a dynasty. Let's go deeper, not into time, but underground. In the caves of Mexico, a fish swims in total darkness. Its cousins in rivers have normal eyes. But here, it's born with tiny sockets, skin covering them like a lie. The eye genes are still there, but mutated, turned off, dimmed. This cave fish, Astyanax mexicanus, is not blind because it's broken. It's blind because it has adapted by losing something. That's the kind of variant most people forget. When mutation subtracts instead of adds. And in losing eyes, the fish gains something more valuable: energy efficiency, better smell, a peaceful brain. In nature, mutation's not about perfection. It's about what works, even if it looks like a downgrade. You walk now through a bog. A frog leaps past you. But wait, one has 5 legs, another has 3. This isn't a joke. In wetlands across the globe, frogs with mutated limbs appear, more now than ever. Some are victims of parasites, but many are shaped by environmental mutations, radiation, toxins, viral disruptions that twist developmental genes. But here's the mystery: some survive, even thrive, because somewhere in the mutation madness there is advantage. Frogs that can climb better, leap higher, hide more quickly. Nature holds no moral compass. If the mutant lives, the mutant stays. And if the mutant breeds, the mutant wins. In Africa, far below the ground, uranium burns quietly. This isn't a lab, it's Gabon, a place where natural nuclear fission happened 2 billion years ago. The Oklo reactors ran without wires or engineers. Water kept it cool. Clay trapped the waste. All this deep in Earth's crust, from a series of natural radioactive mutations in the soil's composition. That energy shaped the chemical environment around it, maybe even altering microbial evolution. Mutation doesn't only happen inside DNA. The Earth mutates its conditions, forcing life to adapt or vanish. Back to the sea, the horseshoe crab has barely changed in 400 million years. Why? Because its design, first created through mutation, was so perfect for survival that no mutation since has done better. That's another variant. Frozen mutation, a creature so suited to its niche that evolution stands still. Not all mutation leads to chaos. Sometimes it finds peace. You hold its blue blood in your hand, used today to test vaccines, including those for humans. That weird little animal, born of ancient mutation, now helps save your species. Whales once walked. Did you know? Mutation turned ankle bones into flippers and gave whales sonar in total darkness. These were slow changes, each step bizarre, but add 5 million years, and a land-dwelling deer becomes a blue whale. You picture it now. A mutation in a nostril shifts it to the top of the head. Now the creature can breathe while swimming. A mutation in muscle tissue allows deeper dives. A change in milk chemistry allows babies to nurse underwater. Everything about the whale is wrong. And that's what makes it perfect. Natural mutations still sound familiar? You've followed them from puddles of ancient broth to whales beneath moonlight, from eyeless fish to atomic soil, from glitches to wonders, and yet everything you've seen is still just a prologue. The world hasn't finished mutating. Not by a long shot. You turn the page. The next chapter is written in extinction. An extinction always comes with a sound. You don't remember the exact moment the sky turned black, but the ground trembled. The wind stopped. Birds never flew again. A great hush. Then the sound of everything breaking. Mutation didn't start this part of the story, but it would be the one to finish it. Mass extinction is not the end. It's the beginning of a new sentence in Earth's long, stuttering language. And in that silence, after the asteroid, after the fire, Mutation whispers, "Now it's my turn." Cha. The dinosaurs ruled for millions of years, but one hot afternoon, a rock the size of a city fell from the sky. You stand now near the Chicxulub crater, and the air smells like smoke and boiling salt water. That impact wasn't just an explosion, it was a reset. Drums now, soft but deep, like a heartbeat underground. Dust blots out the sun, plants die, herbivores starve, carnivores follow. And in the shadows, tiny mammals, born of quiet mutation, scurry forward. They don't roar, they don't have teeth the size of swords. They have fur, heat regulation, night vision, milk. A mutation here, a tweak there, and suddenly, intelligence has a platform. One version of Earth ends, another begins. A few million years later, fire returns, but not from the sky, from below. You're standing beside Mount Toba in what is now Indonesia. The volcano's breath darkens half the planet. Scientists believe its eruption 74,000 years ago nearly ended the human race. Genetic bottlenecks suggest that only a few thousand Homo sapiens survived. Only the most adaptable. Only those with the right mutations, better lungs, darker skin, faster reflexes. Toba didn't kill humanity. It forged it. And mutation, again, picked who got to stay. You drift now over a charred forest. Beneath the ashes, something stirs. A seed. Not just any seed. A serotinous pine cone. Designed by mutation to open only in extreme heat. These trees were born to wait for fire, to be reborn in ash. That's a different kind of variant. One that doesn't react to disaster, but relies on it. Fireproof bark, fire-activated spores. Some lizards lay eggs in burnt soil. Mutation doesn't just survive catastrophe. Sometimes it designs for it. Underwater, it's quieter, but not safer. Here, deep near hydrothermal vents, giant tube worms bloom like red silk flowers. There's no sunlight. The water is toxic. Temperatures swing from freezing to boiling in seconds. And yet, these creatures thrive. Why? Because a single mutation in ancient bacteria allowed chemosynthesis, turning sulfur, not sunlight, into life. That mutation gave birth to an entire ecosystem of extremophiles. Shrimp with see-through skin, snails with iron shells, fish that eat heat. Imagine a biosphere that doesn't care about the sun. That's mutation at its most defiant. Back on land, you reach a coastal marsh. The waves glitter in soft gray light. And then, red. The ocean blooms with poison. Red tide. It looks beautiful, like sunset poured into the water. But beneath that beauty lies a mutation in algae genes that allows them to produce saxitoxin, a nerve agent. This isn't defense, this is conquest. Red tide kills fish, chokes birds, suffocates turtles. It blooms suddenly, unstoppably. And yet it's not artificial, it's natural. Mutation armored it. This is the variant that doesn't fit your story of balance. Because nature is not always harmonious. Sometimes, mutation writes horror. Shaza, in Siberia, under the permafrost, mammoths sleep. But elsewhere, something different emerged. The woolly rhinoceros, a massive creature with thick fur and a horn long as a man. Its survival in the Ice Age was thanks to a mutation in fat metabolism genes, allowing it to store and convert energy more efficiently in cold. When you think of survival of the fittest, remember, the fittest isn't the fastest or strongest. It's the most adaptable. Mutation wins by bending to change, and sometimes by becoming the change. Now, let's leave history. You step forward into the future that never happened. What if the dinosaurs hadn't died? What if the Toba volcano had been stronger? Would birds still sing? Would mammals have teeth? Would you be here? You see, every time mutation enters a tragedy, it brings with it a fork in the road. One direction leads to death. The other, to whales, to bees, to brains. Tragedy is the sculptor. Mutation is the clay. And Earth somehow always finds a way to chisel out something strange, something new. A desert wind blows. In Australia, the thorny devil lizard drinks not with its mouth, but with its feet. Channels in its skin absorb dew and funnel it to its lips. In Brazil, certain butterflies evolved transparent wings, not to be seen, but to be unseen. In the Arctic, polar bears' livers became hyper-efficient to store vitamin A from seal fat, a gift from mutation, or a warning. And all across time, Earth rewrites itself through crisis, not by healing, by mutating. The drumbeat returns now, low and thunderous. Because somewhere, today, there's another tragedy brewing. But if the pattern holds, if mutation continues its wild choreography, then from that event will come the next creature. Maybe one with lungs that drink mist, or eyes that see magnetic fields, or maybe something that doesn't breathe at all. Mutation doesn't rest. Not after fire, not after ash, not after ice. It waits, listens. And when the silence is thickest, it begins again. You wake up in a cave, again, not because you fell asleep there, but because this is how the story always begins. You're surrounded by stone, wet stone, breathing stone, the walls sweat like flesh. The floor pulses under your feet, not with life, but with memory. You walk forward, and ahead of you, glowing gently in the low light of fungal moss, is a salamander with no eyes. It doesn't see you, but it senses you. It's been waiting for centuries. You wonder, what kind of earth creates this? A creature with skin like fog and bones like mist. You crouch. It doesn't move. This is the gift and curse of regressive mutation. You remember the files you read, how sightless fish evolved in the caves of Mexico, born from ancestors that once had eyes. But in the absence of light, the eye became irrelevant, so the earth took it back. That's a pattern, isn't it? What earth gives, earth can retract. In the darkness, mutations shift gears. Here, it's not about growth, it's about reduction, regression, refinement, like trimming away the parts that waste energy. Why waste your skin making pigment when there is no sun? Why build a wing? If there's no sky, why maintain an eye? If sight brings no advantage? These aren't flaws. These are adaptation tools. Tools sharpened in the underground laboratories of nature. No human hand guides them. No god signs the form. Just pressure, just time, just isolation. The deeper you go into the cave, the weirder the world becomes. You see a spider with translucent legs. You can watch its blood pulse through its body like a slow clock. You spot a crab that walks in spirals, forever rotating, as if it's chasing the thought of itself. And then you stumble across a small pool of water. It's still. You lean in, and you see a shrimp with no pigment. It's glowing. You wonder, is it light or a memory of light? Because sometimes mutations don't just take away. They add phantoms, ghosts of what was once useful, now turned eerie. This is when the voice speaks again, low, right behind your ear. Mutation is not progress, it's not decay, it's just Earth, thinking out loud. You turn, nothing's there. But the cave responds, a wind blows that smells of sulfur and ancient DNA. And now, let's talk about the cave salamander. You remember its name from an old research paper, Proteus anguinus, the olm. It lives up to a century. It rarely moves. It can go 10 years without food. It has no pigmentation, no eyes, and no panic. It has never needed to run, because in the cave, nothing chases. That's a miracle of mutation. Not wings, not super strength. But stillness, it's an evolution towards serenity. And now, let's rewind the lens. Because for every creature that lost something, there's one that gained something strange. Do you remember the two-headed snake in Florida? It wasn't mythical, it wasn't engineered. It was born in a quiet nest under a porch. And for the few weeks it lived, it showed us something haunting. A body with two brains, two sets of decisions, but one stomach. They fought, they starved, they bit each other. Mutation had given them too much, and nature didn't intervene, because mutation isn't moral, it isn't even conscious, it's just what happens when DNA rolls a dice. Let's fast forward now to Chernobyl, a place rewritten by radiation, a place where trees grow in spirals, where wolves live longer than they should, where fungi have learned to digest radiation like food. No, that's not a joke. They found a fungus, Cryptococcus neoformans, that thrives inside the nuclear sarcophagus. It has melanin that doesn't just protect it, it harvests radiation. Like a vampire for gamma rays. You ask yourself, is this a new species or a new direction? In another lab, frozen somewhere in Siberia, a team found giant viruses, huge, ancient, Pithovirus sibericum and mollivirus. They call them zombie viruses, frozen in permafrost for 30,000 years. Now awakened and still infectious. But here's the twist. They don't infect us. They infect amoeba, like it's still the Precambrian age. Mutation didn't make them modern, it just made them patient. What happens, you wonder, when mutation waits too long? Does it turn into something sacred or something cursed? You walk deeper into the cave. You're not cold, you're fascinated. The rocks are glowing now, not from light, but from life. Bioluminescence wraps the ceiling like constellations of plankton frozen in rock. 1,000 years from now, will someone call this a temple? Because you've begun to realize natural mutations are Earth's scripture. Each twist in DNA is a syllable in a cosmic sentence. And some of those sentences are terrifying. You stop, you hear something dripping from the ceiling. It lands on your arm. You look down, your skin ripples. Not in pain, not an injury, but like something is deciding. Something ancient, something beneath your own language. The salamander crawls past your foot. It nods, if it could nod, and disappears. You are not afraid. You are becoming. And that is the final gift of mutation. Not survival, not domination, but transformation, whether you want it or not. You are standing on the edge of the known world again. This time, not by land or sea, but in the genome itself. The strands of codes that quietly govern every twitch in your muscles, every blink in your eyes, and every creeping thought that rolls through your mind. You've traveled far through the world of natural mutations, past the marvelous, the tragic, the inexplicable, and yet you haven't seen its darkest faces. Not yet. There are places even the earth itself seems to want hidden. Forests where twisted trees refuse to grow straight. Ponds where fish are born without eyes or with mouths fused shut. And caves so pitch dark that evolution has given up entirely on vision. These places are not accidents. They are invitations to horror, inscribed by time and mutation alike. Let's begin, not with science, but with a whisper. They say in southern Russia, in the marshlands near Lake Karachay, children used to be born without bones. Their skin would sag, unsupported, and they would slip away before their first breath could even reach the lungs. Rumors? Likely. But a generation of researchers tracked the abnormality down to a mutation in a gene once labeled as silent, a misfiring trigger within the collagen-producing system. How did it begin? Perhaps a flare of radiation during the Cold War, or a forgotten virus, or nothing at all. That's the thing about mutation. It doesn't need a reason. And neither do the monsters it sometimes creates. You meet the distorted in northern Australia. You hold a baby cane toad, one of thousands. But this one's different. It has 6 legs, 2 of them bent backward at a disturbing angle, and a mouth that doesn't close all the way. This creature, born from a failed meiosis event, cannot survive long. But its very existence is a warning. Species that multiply too fast, too wildly, invite genetic chaos. A form of collapse not from enemies outside, but from spiraling instability within. Mutations don't just change individuals, they change systems. And when systems fall out of balance, what emerges can look like madness. The failed experiments of nature. Not all monsters come from test tubes. Sometimes, nature itself plays scientist. On a remote island in the Pacific, a colony of seabirds shows aggressive cancer-like growths on their beaks, bone tumors that twist the face, making feeding impossible. No predator did this, no human interference. Only a strand of viral DNA that inserted itself into the bird's own genetic library generations ago, and now replicates itself like a parasite. You see it in plants too. Orchids that grow flesh-like petals, or sunflowers whose heads split into a dozen smaller heads. None aligned. Beautiful, strange, and wholly unadaptable. These forms rarely last, but once in a while, they thrive. And when they do, they become myths, the rise of the chimeras. You thought chimeras belonged to legend, a lion's body, a goat's head, a serpent's tail. But now, you look at the real thing, a cat, healthy and domestic, with half its face jet black and the other side cream white. Eyes of two different colors. This is no paint. It's a fusion. Two fertilized eggs that merged early in development into one living body. Genetically, the creature is two beings sharing a frame. Chimerism occurs more often than we care to think, in humans too. Blood samples that contradict DNA tests. A mother whose womb bears a child that isn't genetically hers because her ovaries and her blood came from different embryonic lineages. How does the brain adapt to a body like this? Does it know it is not alone? Sometimes mutations split us. Sometimes they combine us. The godlike mutation, eternal regeneration. Here, finally, the miracle, the Hydra. No, not the many-headed serpent of Greek myth. This is the freshwater polyps, small, translucent, barely visible unless magnified. But if you slice a hydra in half, it regenerates. Slice it again, it still regenerates. Its telomeres do not shorten. It does not seem to age. In theory, it could live forever. Scientists have tried to break it. Radiation, starvation, chemical baths. But the Hydra persists. A living rebuke to human mortality. How? A mutation in the FOXO gene, increasing its stem cell cycling to near perfection. You pause. Could this be the mutation that reverses aging? Or is it too perfect to scale up? Too elegant for us? You watch it float in the glass, immortal and indifferent. You're no longer sure what counts as a blessing and what counts as a curse. The mythic consequences. In ancient Japan, scrolls speak of children born with tails, considered sacred or cursed, depending on the region. In Mesoamerican stories, twins are born, one human, one with golden eyes and fingers fused like a bird's talon. And in Norse sagas, the Jotnar, giants deformed by the very earth they emerged from, represent the old chaotic nature rebelling against order. Could all these stories have originated with mutation? A child with polydactyly, 6 or 7 fingers per hand, who grew to a tremendous height. A woman with hypertrichosis, covered in hair, mistaken for wolf-blooded. A man whose spine curved backward into a hunch, who walked like no other. They weren't myths, they were memories, encoded into cultural folklore. The monsters we fear are often us, seen in a mirror, too honest to ignore. The silent mutations in you. Now you return to yourself. You sit in quiet. Your heart ticks. Your skin renews. Your blood carries silent instructions passed down from countless ancestors, each one bearing a mutation, silent or visible, benign or catastrophic. You are the sum of errors that did not kill you. Do you feel it? The ripple of possibilities, because somewhere, deep in your cells, something is changing still. And someday, the world might call it a miracle or a monster.